Good morning, traders. How are you all doing today? Karibuni sana. Glad you could all join us this fine Monday morning. Hope everyone is doing well today, and hope also you had a great weekend as well. So, for those who are new, my name is Mitch Kaniaru, and I'm a trader with Afriforex. I want to welcome you to another Afriforex daily analysis session. Now, during these sessions, we as the Afriforex team we analyze the markets, we identify what trading opportunities we'll be taking for the day, and we do share that information with you. So as usual, they have the Afriforex team here. They are here in the back office. So feel free to ask any questions or queries or any comments on the chat box. The team will be there to respond to you, but I will also be looking to address any questions asked at the end of this session. So let's jump straight into it. So as usual, we'll start off here with our watch list. So let's look at what we had on Friday and compare it to what we're going to be looking at today. So here's our watch list on Friday. And Friday, our focus was looking for buying opportunities on the British pound, the Japanese yen, the Australian dollar, as well as the New Zealand dollar. And we're looking to mix and match these four pairs with all the pairs on the sell side. So that was the Swiss franc, the euro, the US dollar, as well as the Canadian dollar. Now, today, a number of pairs have moved from the sell side and a lot of pairs have moved to the buy side. So this is going to be our watch list for today. So the focus on the sell side will only be on the US dollar, the Canadian dollar, as well as the Australian dollar. And we'll be looking to mix and match these three pairs with all these pairs on the buy side. So that's the British pound, the yen, the New Zealand dollar, the euro, as well as the Swiss franc. Now, in terms of fundamentals today, we had some New Zealand dollar fundamentals that did come out during the Asian session. Now, during the London session, does seem to be quite a bit of fundamentals. We do have some Swiss franc fundamentals that are coming out just before the London market does open, as well as we have a lot of euro fundamentals coming out today, as you can see at 12 midday, as well as at 1 p.m. So we do end up expecting at least some volatility on the euro pairs during the London session. As you can see, the US session, there's nothing really that's actually going to be coming out. So let's jump on to today's pairs. Or at least let's have a look at the pairs that we did have on Friday that we're not going to be looking at today. So we'll start off here with the British pound against the Swiss franc. Now, on Friday, our bias on this currency pair was to look for buying opportunities. You can see the three areas that we had highlighted, looking for those potential buys. Now, had also pointed out there seems to be a support and resistance area where there was some sellers holding the market. So you can even see based on the illustration, said we either wanted a pullback or at least some probe showing us evidence that the price is going to hold above, which it did. And you can see the price did end up giving us a probe coming back at around 4 o'clock or 4:30 during the US market open. The buyers attempted, but at 5:30, remember that's a New York Stock Exchange, you can see the price did manage to come down. Seems that the price was never able to actually breach and hold above this area, because you can see based on the illustration, if you were able to get the price breaching and holding above, we could have looked for a buying opportunity. However, the Swiss franc fundamentals did, or at least the fundamentals on the Swiss franc did change. Or at least we are expecting to see some strength on them. You can see the prices did end up continuing to go down during the US session. So we are seeing a bit of a push during the Asian session. It might potentially end up going back to the sell side, because remember, we do have some Swiss franc fundamentals that are coming out at 10:30. So that might change things a bit, but as long as things are still the same, for now, this is a pair that's going to be off our watch list for today. Now, the next pair we do have was the euro against the British pound. Now, in this currency pair, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. You can see where the price was, where I wanted either the price to give us a pullback, or we wanted this level right here. You can see I had a USNR right here. If we did get the price breaching and holding below, you can see based on the illustration, we could have potentially looked for a selling opportunity. Now, during the Frankfurt market open, the price just managed to continue going down, managed to break that area to the downside, managed to get all the way back down towards the main bias. But you can see we did manage to end up getting a pullback, coming back to that same support and resistance area. We do know the time, that was around 5:30 during the New York Stock Exchange. So there was a selling opportunity right there. And you can see you should have managed your trade within this bias area, because the price was never able to actually breach and hold below this area. Can see this was just a probe where the price broke. It looked as if it was breaking to the downside, came back up and was holding above. So you can see the price going to the upside today. So unfortunately for us, since both the euro and the British pound are both on the same side of our watch list, it is not going to be a pair that we're going to be looking at today. So the next pair we did have on Friday was the Swiss franc against the Japanese yen. Now, we were looking for selling opportunities on Friday, and the sells did work out, but this was mainly because the Japanese yen was way stronger than the Swiss franc strength that did show up. But you can see the areas that we had pointed out. Wanted to see whether or not the price was able to come back within this area. And you can see that's exactly what happened. Around 10:45 or 11 o'clock during the London market open, the price was right there at the extreme area. And most of you can be able to see there was a pin bar right there at the top. So if you did manage to grab the selling opportunity there, that would have worked out. Wanted to see whether or not we could end up getting a breach and a hold below this area. Unfortunately, the yen pairs really did move quite aggressively, especially during the New York Stock Exchange open, because at 5:30, that's when the prices really did go to the downside. But unfortunately, this is a pair that's going to be off our watch list today, since both the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen are both on the same side. Now, the next pair we did have was the euro against the Japanese yen. Similar situation, bias was to look for selling opportunities. And you can see the yens really did work out. You can see based on the illustration right here, wanted to see the price giving us some sort of pullback, and it gave a probe right there, came right down quite aggressively. Unfortunately, could not necessarily get that pullback coming back towards the main support and resistance area. It seems that once it broke this support and resistance area to the downside, you can see it was pulling back towards that particular location. We do note the time around 4:30, between 4 and 5:30 during the New York Stock Exchange open. Can see the price really did come to the downside. But unfortunately for us today, since both the euro and the Japanese yen are on the same side of our watch list, it's not a pair that we're going to be looking at today. Now, the Australian dollar against the US dollar was also another pair that we were looking at for buying opportunities on Friday. It seems that the US dollar pairs all did end up giving a pullback and started moving during the Asian session. As you can see, on Friday, we wanted to look for buying opportunities, want to see what kind of pullback was going to come in. So during the London market open, nothing really happened during the London session. It's only once the US market did open, you can see around 5:30, that's when the price started coming to the downside. Now, similar situation, as you can see, the price did end up giving us a probe, even though it's not necessarily how I illustrated here, but you can be able to see the price managed to come to the downside. But when it came back up, it never held below. In fact, it came to the upside, showed us confirmation to actually holding above, and has attempted to try and go to the upside. But you can see it's attempted to come back down because both the Australian dollar and the US dollar are on the same side of our watch list. So that's the reason why today, this is not a pair that we're going to be looking at. Now, the next pair we did have was the Australian dollar against Canadian dollar. Similar situation, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. You can see we had the buyers area right here where we did mention we could potentially see the buyers reacting from there, but we most likely were expecting the price to at least come to the downside. So there was a small reaction during the London market open where it attempted to go up, but it was just coming back to this support and resistance area that was broken to the downside. As you can see, it came back towards that location before continuing to come down, managing to come back down to the area of interest that we did end up having. We are starting to see some sort of reaction, especially during the Asian session. But remember, when both pairs are on the same side of our watch list, most likely we'll end up finding the market actually just ranging or bouncing between two levels. So unfortunately for us today, this is a pair that is off our watch list. Now, the next pair we did have for review, or at least on Friday, is the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. Similar situation, bias here was to look for buying opportunities. As you can see, the three areas that we had pointed out. Now, initially during the London market open, the price was within an area where the sellers, remember, we always mentioned buy with buyers and sell with sellers. So in this situation, we wanted either a breach to the upside or the pullback to come down, where it seems during the London market open, there was nothing really that did end up happening. But during the US market, at least the New York Stock Exchange open, we can see the price managed to come to the downside. So unfortunately, you can see the price managed to come down. Wanted to see whether or not the price is going to come back up and hold above. That has not happened yet. You can see the amount of probes that are happening. This pair is quite choppy because remember, when pairs are both on the same side, when they're ideally fighting, so in this case, let's say both of them are fighting for the buy, the New Zealand is trying to go up, you will see a bit of New Zealand strength where the price will go up. But once the Swiss franc also starts to show some strength, you'll see the price coming down. That's the reason why you'll find the markets probably ranging, giving some huge spikes and probes. And that's the reason why those ones are quite messy. And that's why we usually avoid them and are not usually on our watch list. So moving on to the next and last currency pair that we did have on Friday was the euro against the New Zealand dollar. Now, you can see our bias was to look for selling opportunities, and based on these highlighted areas, now I wanted to see whether or not we could end up getting a bit of a pullback coming in potentially within this support and resistance area. It seems that the London big boys were way more interested because you can see at 11, that's when the price started coming to the downside. Managed to get back towards the buyer's area, but it seems like that was the only opportunity. Because you can see later on during the US market open, price was ranging before it did manage to start going to the upside. So unfortunately, even though we can see it's come back all the way to the extreme area and the sellers have reacted, this is a pair, unfortunately for us today, that could give issues. It might still end up going to the downside, but since there's that added risk on it and a less probability of it actually going to the downside, that's why we will avoid this pair for today. So that's it for all the pairs for review. Now, remember, this being a Monday, we don't necessarily share screenshots. However, we do usually represent them and showcase what you guys are doing. So remember, if you do manage to take any setups based on things that we do share today, feel free to send them in to us. You should find our contact details in the video description below. So let's jump into today's pairs. So we'll start off, apologies for that. Just, yes. Yeah, so today, our bias, we'll start off with the British pound pairs, mix and match them with, sorry, apologies for that. We'll start off with the US dollar pairs, mix and match them with the pairs on the buy side, do the same thing with the Canadian dollar, then the Australian dollar before we do have a look at the indices, as well as gold, silver. So starting off with the US dollar pairs, we'll start off here with the British pound against the US dollar. Now, on Friday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. And you can see, I did point out that there was some correlation on the US dollar pairs, where on Friday, it seems they were on the pullback, but today during the Asian session, that's when the markets did end up taking off. But you can see where the price was on Friday, early in the morning when we're having the session, wanted to see either a breach to the upside or a pullback. It seems that it did end up giving us the pullback, but the price managed to continue coming down, managed to come all the way back down towards the main bias area, but that only happened, you can see, during the Asian session, and that's when the market did manage to actually attempt to go to the upside. So you can see that's when the buy was, but it is still the same situation today, still looking for buying opportunities. Now, most of you will notice that we actually still have the same areas as we did end up having on Friday. The main reason for that, you can see, yes, the price has gone up, managed to get towards a particular high right here. But remember what we always say, we want to get confirmation that a level has been broken only once the price actually holds within those levels. So in this situation, we wanted to see if the price is able to actually hold within this particular area, where you see the price coming in and it's actually holding to the upside, then we should be able to look for a buying opportunity. If you do manage to grab that buying opportunity, make sure you manage your trade within this seller's area, because there are definitely some sellers who have given some issues there. However, since it hasn't yet actually held, this could potentially end up being some sort of probe. And if that's the case, we could end up still seeing the price actually coming back down all the way to this main bias area before we're able to see the buying opportunity coming in. So on this one, it looks quite interesting. We'll wait to see how the market ends up reacting within this particular area. Remember, if it holds above, then we will be looking for buying opportunities there. If not, and the price comes in below, then we'll wait to see if we can end up getting the price a bit lower before we're able to take this price to the upside. So hope that is clear on the British pound against the US dollar. So move on to the next US dollar pair. So right here, we have the US dollar against the Japanese yen. Remember, I had pointed out the yen pairs really did end up showing a lot of strength, and you can see the way the prices did manage to come all the way down. So you can see the areas that we did have on Friday, looking for selling opportunities. The price was on its way to the upside. Unfortunately, could not get all the way to our main sellers area right there. It seems that these sellers, where the price reacted from before, you can clearly see that's where the price reacted from again. And that's the reason why also on the British pound pair, even if you do manage to grab a buying opportunity right here, do make sure you manage your trade within that seller's area, because you don't know whether or not that seller is actually going to push the price down low. So going back to the US dollar against the yen, you can see the price was just holding within the London session, mainly moved during the US market. So you can see either at 4 or 5:30, that's when the price actually started coming to the downside. Now, it would have been a bit difficult to end up grabbing the trade after this, but you can see there was a small opportunity later on. When the price did manage to breach and hold below this area, you can see there was a small selling opportunity there. So today, bias here is still going to be looking for selling opportunities. So we have identified 3 areas of interest that we'll be looking for sells. So right here, you can see we have the bias area right there, where the market is reacting, struggling to actually break to the downside. So that means we are starting to get a pullback coming in. So we're back within this support and resistance area that was broken. So we'll be interested to see what kind of reaction happens within this area. We are able to get some sort of probe where the market looks as if it's breaking to the upside and manages to come back in. Then we should be able to find a very nice selling opportunity there. But be aware, the price can still come back all the way to this red support and resistance area, where the price potentially could end up holding to the upside, and you might find the price approaching such an area during the US market open or the New York Stock Exchange open, and you could find a very nice selling opportunity there. But for now, let's wait to see. You can see the yen pairs are very nicely correlated. So if you see one of the yens pulling back, have a look at the other one. But if you see one of the yens starting to move to the downside, have a look at the other ones to get confirmation if that is actually the big boy who are coming back in to look to buy the Japanese yen. So hope that's clear on the US dollar against the Japanese yen as we move on to the next US dollar pair, which is the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. As you can see, similar situation with the British pound against the US dollar, the Australian dollar against the US dollar, where the price did manage to actually end up coming down all the way throughout Friday, where we did not necessarily end up getting a buying opportunity. The price managed to come back all the way back down to our main buyers here. You can see we got a very nice probe where the price managed to go to the upside. We got the price coming back down, showing us confirmation. The price is holding above that area. Very nice probe. And you can see the market didn't manage to go. So this trade ended up working during the Asian session. So if you were awake today, early in the morning, then you would have been able to catch that opportunity. But today, buyers is still to look for buying opportunities, and there is potentially still another buying opportunity available for us. So wait to see. Remember, we never chase the market. Wait for the prices to come back to areas of interest that we could potentially look for those buying opportunities. So you pretty much have the same areas. However, just based on how the market has reacted, you can see we have this blue support and resistance area here, where it does seem the sellers were holding the market. It didn't manage to struggle coming down, and the market has managed to actually break this area to the upside. So there's a high probability the fact that this market is coming down. And you can see how the sellers are reacting. It's not necessarily as aggressive as how they were reacting before to the downside. They're coming in much slower. So there's a possibility we're going to see what kind of reaction happens within this particular area. There's a possibility the price can come back within this location, and you could end up finding the buy working out from this area. We'll be interested to see what ends up happening here. But for now, we'll still wait to see the buying opportunity, still focusing on the same areas. So we have this area of interest where you could find the buy actually taking off to the upside. If it manages to break and hold above, then we can be able to continue looking for buying opportunities there. But do watch out. If the price breaks and holds below this blue SNR, then there's a possibility we could still be coming back either to this blue level or at least the yellow SNR that we do end up having right here in the middle. But for right now, let's wait to see what ends up happening. For those who have done our courses, we could potentially end up going to a smaller time frame, like the 3-minute time frame. It does look as if it's a proper trending market where you can see the buyers have come to the upside. We are starting to get the pullback coming in as the sellers are coming in quite slow. But in this situation, we'll wait to see how the sellers come in, and we'll wait for a sign that the big boy buyers are back. Once we do end up seeing that, we could potentially end up waiting for a pullback to look for that buying opportunity. So until then, until we actually see the big boy buyers coming back in, do be patient on the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next US dollar pair. Right here is the euro against the US dollar, brand new entry in our watch list. But you can see the same correlation that did come in with the US dollar pairs, where it seems that all of them were on a pullback on Friday, but today during the Asian session, the prices have gone to the upside. Now, you will realize that we are focusing on levels that the price does seem to be attempting to break to the upside. But you can see this market, yes, it's still respecting these areas. But remember, we have not yet gotten confirmation that this level has actually been broken. Especially, I think if we do end up going up to a higher time frame, you can see this is a major seller's area where the price has held and actually come down. You can see every time the price goes there, the price comes down. So in this situation, we've not yet gotten the confirmation that it's broken until we are actually able to get the price actually holding above. So we'll wait to see what ends up happening. If we do find the price actually holding above within this particular area, we could end up finding a very nice buying opportunity on the euro against the US dollar. However, if the price doesn't hold above that particular area where it ends up actually coming to the downside, but instead of going back up, it holds below, then chances are we could be looking now for a buying opportunity a bit lower, potentially within this support and resistance area before we're able to look for those buying opportunities. And be aware, remember, if we are able to get the price where the price is able to hold to the upside, do make sure you manage your trade within this particular high point, the blue SNR, because definitely there are some sellers holding the market within that particular location. So do watch out for that on the euro against the US dollar as we move on to the next US dollar pair. So right here, it's a brand new entry in our watch list. We have the US dollar against the Swiss franc. You can see the US dollar weakness, similar situation coming in during the Asian session as well. So today, the bias here is going to be looking for selling opportunities. This one is pretty clear cut. The market is trending down to the downside. And usually when the market does end up trending, I think most of you know it does end up giving you lower lows and lower highs, coming back to a support and resistance area. So the fact that we have an SNR here, you can see the price has actually been able to break this area to the downside. Let's wait to see if we can end up getting the price giving us a pullback towards that area before we're able to look for selling opportunities to go to the downside. In this situation, the fact that the price is so close to the buyer's area, let's wait to see if we can end up getting a pullback coming in We are able to get the price approaching this particular area, and it's there within one of the market opening times. We could definitely end up looking for very nice selling opportunities. But be aware, if these buyers are not able to hold the market and the price is able to continue coming to the downside, it's a similar story. We'll wait for a pullback, getting confirmation that this level has been broken by showing us that the price is actually holding below. And if we do end up seeing that, we should be able to look for very nice selling opportunities on the US dollar against the Swiss franc. So hope that is clear on the US dollar against Swiss franc. As you can see, we're done with the US dollar pairs. We'll mix and match the US dollar with all the pairs on the buy side. So right now we're going to move on to the Canadian dollar pairs and do the same thing. So we'll start off with the British pound against the Canadian dollar. Now, on this currency pair, our bias on Friday was to look for buying opportunities. You can see the three highlighted areas. Now, earlier in the morning, we did either want one of two things. Since price was within an area where the sellers, we needed the price either to break this area to the upside and hold above for us to look for buying opportunities, or we'll end up waiting for a pullback. And you can clearly see the reason why we keep on insisting, wait for the price to actually hold above. All those late buyers who ended up looking for buying opportunities once they saw this coming to the upside, we can clearly see all of them, even if they put their stop losses here, all of them were actually stopped out. So in this situation, you can clearly see the market gave a probe during the London session and actually came back in and it was holding below. We did manage to get the price pulling back down, coming back very close towards the buyer's area. We do know the time, that was around 5 or 5:30, just getting close to the New York Stock Exchange open, because that was at the bottom level right there, which you can see later on the price managed to continue going to the upside during the US session. So today, you can see the price managed to actually end up breaking. Apologies, it seems my power has gone out. So let me just see if I can continue. Just give me 1 second. This being Kenya, you know, we do end up getting such power difficulties sometimes. So just give me 1 second as I sort this out. Definitely, you know, the reason why we are definitely live here. So let me just share my screen again. We should be able to continue. So let's go to TradingView. So in this situation right here on the British pound against the Canadian dollar, we did get the price managing to actually break this area to the upside. You can see initially here, apologies for that. Just a second. Yes. So you can see when the price initially during the London session was not able to actually break this area to the downside. So you can see this was a probe right there where the market actually ended up coming back down. Later on, the price was able to break this area to the upside. You can see we got confirmation the price was actually holding above, and you can see the price did manage to continue going to the upside. So today, buyers is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. So we will be focusing on these three areas right here. So we have this buyer's area, or sorry, a seller's area right there at the top where the price is reacting from. We are potentially starting to get a pullback. So let's see if we can get the price coming back within this major support and resistance area. Yes, we did end up getting a small pullback, but right now this is the main pullback that we did want. And remember, we will still be looking for buying opportunities as long as we're holding above this red support and resistance area. So right now, let's wait to see how the market ends up giving us a pullback before we're able to potentially end up looking for those buying opportunities on the British pound against the Canadian dollar. So moving on to the next pair, we do have the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen. Now, remember on this kind of pair on Friday, buyers was to look for selling opportunities, and you can clearly see the big boy sellers did end up coming in on the Japanese yen pairs, where the market did end up giving us a small pullback, as you can see based on this illustration. Wanted to see the price coming in a bit higher. Nothing happened at that point in time. In fact, during the London market open, you can see at 11, sellers did manage to start coming in. Did manage to get a small pullback coming back within that area where the sellers around the New York Stock Exchange open around 5:30. You can see the price did manage to continue coming to the downside. So this trade worked out quite well, and you can clearly see the correlation coming in with the yen pairs. So today, we have made a new low. It does seem the market is trending to the downside. So we'll definitely be looking for selling opportunities on the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen. we are getting a pullback coming in, which is definitely what we want. So let's wait to see at what point in time will this pullback actually end. So we'll wait to see at what point in time the big boys will actually show interest. So if we do see some sort of probe or price action signal, especially within this support and resistance area, we will be looking for selling opportunities on the Canadian dollar against Japanese yen. So I hope that is clear as we move on to the next Canadian dollar pair. So right here, we have the New Zealand dollar against the Canadian dollar. Now, on this currency pair, on Friday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. You can see the areas that we had pointed out. The market is still respecting those same areas. Remember, we did want either the price to break this area to the upside and hold above for us to look for a buy, or we needed a pullback. But it seems that the big boys were not interested in the New Zealand dollar against Canadian dollar on Friday. As you can see, during the Asian session, all the way throughout the whole day, you can see the market was just bouncing, ranging between these two levels. So overall, the bias here today is still going to be looking for buying opportunities, still respecting the same areas that we did end up having on Friday, because the market is still respecting those locations. But remember, the one thing we want, in order for us to look for buying opportunities, we need sellers, or we need to show signs that the sellers are no longer interested for us to actually look for those buying opportunities. So in this situation, let's wait to see. Similar story, if we can end up getting the price coming back in a bit lower, inciting a few more people to look for selling opportunities before we're able to look for buying opportunities here. Or you could easily find the price is able to actually break this area to the upside. And if we do find the price actually holding above, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities on the New Zealand dollar against the Canadian dollar. So wait to see what ends up happening. It does seem as if maybe the price might actually break to the upside, just based on how the sellers are reacting and the fact that the buyers really did come in a bit aggressive. But remember, if they are not able to break and make a new high, it means that this price here, where the blue SNR is not a good enough price. And that's the reason why we'll still be looking to see if we can get the price coming in a bit lower for us to look for those buying opportunities here. So I hope the game plan is clear on what we're looking at doing on the New Zealand dollar against the Canadian dollar as we move on to the next currency pair, which is a brand new entry on our watch list. So right here, we have the euro against the Canadian dollar. And you can clearly see it's very, very nice. Definitely know that buyers are interested in buying the euro or at the same time selling the Canadian dollar. So in this situation, we definitely want to look for buying opportunities, but you can clearly see where we are. We definitely want a pullback. You can see based on even what happened before, the fact that the price managed to go to the upside, you don't want to start looking for your buying opportunities here. The best thing to do is wait for a pullback, coming back to a support and resistance area for you to look for trading opportunities there. So it's a similar situation. We have this major SNR that was broken to the upside. So the story should be the same. Let's wait to see if we can end up getting a pullback coming in within the support and resistance area before we're able to look for buying opportunities to the upside. So we'll wait to see how we can potentially end up getting a pullback within here. So since we are within an area where the sellers, one of two things can happen. Let's wait to see if we can end up potentially getting that pullback coming in before we're able to look for those buying opportunities. But remember, there's also the possibility that these sellers area might not necessarily hold, or they're not necessarily interested. I mean, the price is able to break this area to the upside. It's a similar story where we'll wait for the pullback to come in, see confirmation the price is holding above. If we do see that, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities on the euro against the Canadian dollar. So I hope that is clear. Moving on to the next Canadian dollar pair we do have, the next and last Canadian dollar pair. So right here, we have the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc, running into our watch list. And right here, we're definitely going to be looking for selling opportunities. So you can clearly see we have a support and resistance area that was breached to the downside. We can see we are starting to get a pullback coming in. But even though the buyers have come in quite aggressive, so let's wait to see right now if we can potentially get the price coming in a bit higher within this particular area, because this is not necessarily showing signs that the big boy sellers are back. Maybe we might need to incite a few more people, because most people, if they incited that this is a sell right now, everyone's stop loss is above here. So don't be surprised the price goes up a bit higher, stops people out, and you see the price giving us a probe. And if we do end up seeing that, we should be able to look for selling opportunities here on the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. So hope that is clear, at least on the game plan of what we're looking at doing on the Canadian dollar pairs. As you can see, we'll mix and match the US dollar and the Canadian dollar pairs with the pairs on the buy side. So right now we're going to move on to the Australian dollar pairs and do the same thing. So we'll start off with the British pound against the Australian dollar. Now on this currency pair, it's a brand new entry on our watch list, and our bias here is going to be looking for buying opportunities. You can see we're within an area where there are sellers, and the market has given us a very huge probe, showing us evidence that the price is coming back in, or there's some sellers there. So it's not necessarily the best time to look for your buying opportunities. So you can see the way even the buyers are coming in, this might end up just being a probe where the price comes back within this area, and we could end up potentially seeing the price coming back down. We do end up seeing the price giving us some sort of probe or price action signal there. We should be able to look for buying opportunities. Because remember, all those late buyers right now, all the stop losses must be within even such an area. So if you do end up looking for a buy, the chances are they might end up getting stopped out. But if we are able to get the price coming back in and holding, we should be able to look for a buying opportunity here. But remember, alternatively, if we are able to get the price coming up to the upside and it does end up holding above, then at that point in time, we should be safe to look for buying opportunities on the British pound against the Australian dollar. So hope that is clear. Moving on to the next Australian dollar pair right here, brand new entry on our watch list. So you can see we have the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. So you can see most of you should have realized right now that the yen pairs all look pretty similar. It's like trading the same exact pair. But remember, we always point out the yen pairs are very much correlated. So when something's happening on one, chances are it's happening on the other. It's not necessarily the case with all the other currency pairs, but the yen really does respect correlation. So you can see the price managed to come to the downside. We are starting to get a pullback, which is definitely what we want. The buyers are coming in quite strong. Since that's the case, no time, at least we're not necessarily going to look for the buy opportunity, sorry, the selling opportunities just yet, at least until the buyers show that they're struggling. So the buyers tend to go to higher, and we actually end up seeing aggressive sellers coming back in, and we end up getting potentially some sort of probe, and the price holds below that particular area. Should definitely end up looking for a very nice selling opportunity. But remember, the yen pairs, they do like correlating a lot. So if this level doesn't hold, the price breaks and falls to the upside, then chances are we could still be looking for selling opportunities all the way at the top where the red support and resistance area is. So wait to see what ends up happening, but we'll definitely be looking for selling opportunities on the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. Now, moving on to the next pair that we do have right here, it's a brand new entry on our watch list. Right here, we have the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar. And here, our bias is going to be looking for selling opportunities. Now, we have identified 3 areas where the sells could definitely work out from, but you can clearly see where we are right now. We're looking for sells. We want to sell within an area where there's sellers. Right now, we're within an area where there are buyers, so there's no selling opportunity for us just yet. Remember, we need one of 2 things to happen. It's either these buyers are not going to, or at least they're going to end up being respected. We could end up finding the market actually giving us some sort of pullback coming in here, inciting many people to look for buys before we're able to look for the selling opportunities here. Or alternatively, the price could end up actually breaking this area to the downside. And if we do see the price actually holding below, then we should be able to look for selling opportunities here. But for right now, we'll wait to see what ends up happening. Since we're within a buyer's area, we definitely need a pullback coming in. Especially if we do end up going up to a higher time frame, the 1 hour time frame, it does seem we're within a big range. You can see bouncing between these 2 levels. The fact that being the case, you can see we have a major SNR area here. If that's the situation, if the price doesn't hold within this location, that's the reason why the price can still come back all the way to the main seller's area before we're able to look for selling opportunities on the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar. So hope the game plan is clear on what we're looking at doing. For right now, there's nothing much for us to do. So moving on to the next pair we did have was the euro against the Australian dollar. However, we did have this kind of pair, but for a sell on Friday, because you can see the 3 areas that we did end up highlighting. So the price did end up actually giving us a pullback. And if you look at the market timing, so at 10 or 11 during the London market or the Frankfurt market open, there was a small selling opportunity to end up coming to the downside, but it might have been a bit difficult. But you can see during the London session, the price was able to come down. But during the US market open, once 4 o'clock came in, price never actually held below this area. You can see the price came back up, showing us evidence that the price is actually holding above. You can see the price managed to continue going up. So no real trading opportunity during the US session. But remember, since today, both the euro and the Australian dollar have switched their bias, today we will still have this pair on our watch list. However, we will be looking for buying opportunities. So we have identified 3 areas of interest where the buys could potentially work out from. So you can see right now, the sellers have definitely reacted, giving us a pullback, which is definitely what we want to see. Well, let's hope to see if we can end up getting this price coming back in a bit lower, coming in within this support and resistance area. You see the price holding above that location, we should be able to look for buying opportunities. Remember, there's also the alternative if the price is able to continue going up. You know, you need to be prepared for both situations. You don't want to come into the charts and be surprised at what's actually happening. You need to be prepared. If one situation happens, you know what the game plan is. If the next situation happens, you know what the game plan is. So you'll always be ready on what to do whenever you end up coming to the charts. So hope that's clear on the euro against the Australian dollar. As we move on to the next and last currency pair we do have, which is the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. It's a similar situation. On Friday, we did end up having this currency pair, but our bias was to look for buying opportunities. You can even see the illustrations that we had pointed out. The price was starting to give us a pullback. Wanted to see what kind of reaction would come in with here. The buyers attempted to come up, where it did end up seeming they did end up reacting quite a bit, as you can see, but they attempted to go up again, but was not really even able to actually break this particular high, where the sellers actually pushed down from. You can see the price just kept on holding. They struggled within that area. At 5:30, the price managed to actually end up coming down. So it did not necessarily end up giving us a very nice buying opportunity as well. But you can see the price came all the way down to the extreme area. And yes, we have gotten a probe where the price is respecting this location. But today the bias has switched and we will be looking for selling opportunities and not buys. So we will be focusing on the same areas that we did have, since the price is still respecting those locations. We did get the price actually breaking this area to the downside. So we'll be interested to see what kind of pullback comes in, because we are starting to get some sort of pullback coming in. So let's wait to see. We can end up getting this pullback coming in within this support and resistance area, see what kind of reaction comes in within that location, whether or not it's a big boys within there. We do end up seeing that and it lines up within the market opening time, we definitely should be able to look for selling opportunities there. Remember, if the price is able to break this area to the downside and it does actually end up holding below, then we should be able to continue looking for sells. Not something like this. We want something convincing. And on the pullback, the buyers come in slowly and the price actually holds. So hope that is clear on all the currency pairs. As you can see, we've mixed and matched all the pairs on the sell side with the pairs on the buy side. So right now, we're going to have a look at the indices before we do look at gold and silver. So we'll start off here with the NAS 100. So on the NASDAQ, now on Friday, our bias actually was to look for buying opportunities. So since the market moved quite a bit, let me just zoom out like that. So you can see the three areas that we did have looking for buying opportunities on Friday. So you can see we wanted to see one of two things, either the pullback coming in or the price breaking and holding above this area. Because you can see we did have a level right here. So you can see the second option is what ended up happening. The price managed to go to the upside, was holding above. If you do look at the time, this was around 3 o'clock, just before the US market did end up opening. So the price did manage to continue going up. But remember, I had pointed out to watch out for these sellers. If you manage to grab a buy, make sure you do some sort of trade management here. But it seems that that's where exactly the price managed to get to, gave some sort of probe, and at around 5:30 during the New York Stock Exchange open, the price really did manage to come to the downside. As you can see, we did manage to break this area below, because we did end up having this support and resistance area here. We get the breach and the hold to the downside, but might have been a bit difficult to end up grabbing this trading opportunity, which was around 6 p.m. on Friday. And knowing the weekends, it's not necessarily the best time to actually start looking for trading opportunities. So as soon as we did breach that area to the downside, our bias did end up switching and we will be looking for selling opportunities. So today, focus is going to be looking on sells on this currency pair, or at least on the NAS 100. So our focus will be on these three areas right here. So you can clearly see the sellers really did come down quite aggressive. Just delete this level right here. So the sellers did come down quite aggressive, and we are starting to get a pullback. And you can see the way the pullback is coming in does seem to be quite slow, which is definitely what we want. But we're not necessarily seeing any signs of big boy sellers coming in just yet. So in this situation, we'll still be waiting to see how the buyer potentially struggles. We want to see him struggling some more. And once he gets to a certain seller's area, we do end up seeing the sellers reacting, the price holding below certain area. We should be able to find some very nice selling opportunities on the NAS one. So wait to see what ends up happening. But remember, on the NASDAQ, the US 30, gold and silver were purely technical. So if the price breaks and holds above, so if the price continuing to go to the upside, it breaks and holds above this red SNR, at that point in time, we will actually start looking for buying opportunities. So hope that is clear as we move on to the next pair that we do have, which is the Dow Jones. They do seem to be correlated quite a bit. We can see now on Friday, our bias here on the Dow Jones was actually to look for selling opportunities. You can see the three areas that we had pointed out. Unfortunately, the sellers did not manage to, or at least the price did not manage to get all the way to the main sellers that we did want. You can see the price did continue struggling. Similar situation to how the NAS 100 is looking. We are getting a pullback coming in, but wanted to see the price coming in within that particular area. However, if you do know the time, this one did end up starting to move slightly earlier at 3 p.m. Not too sure what was happening at that time. But even if you did miss that trade, you can see once the price broke this area to the downside and was pulling back, you can see this was now during the US market open at around 4:30 or even 5:30. You can see the price gave a pullback, showing us confirmation that the price is actually holding below, and you could have actually looked for selling opportunities there on the Dow Jones. So today, the bias is going to be looking for selling opportunities. So we'll be focusing on these three areas to look for the sells. So we have a buyer's area there where we are starting to get a pullback. We have an area where the sellers right here. You also have the main sellers who did start pushing the market to the downside right there. So overall, we do have these levels where the market could react from. However, we have identified that there was a certain SNR. The fact that this is the level that was actually broken to the downside, there's still also a possibility, rather than the price end up reacting within this location. If you don't see that, or at least if you see that, then that would be a good thing. But if you don't and the price goes up a bit higher, watch to see something similar like this to see what kind of reaction comes in within this blue support and resistance area. We do see the market is within that location, lining up with the market opening time, and or we see aggressive sellers coming in, then you definitely know that's where the big boy sellers are interested in selling again, and you could be able to look for selling opportunities there. So hope that is clear on the indices as we move on now to the metals. So we'll start off here with silver. Now on silver, our bias on Friday was to look for buying opportunities. Can see the areas that we had pointed out, and can see the price did manage to give us a pullback coming in within this particular buyer's area. During the London market open at 11, the price did end up attempting to go to the upside. Unfortunately, could not get all the way to the main seller's area there. But remember, that's the reason why we also point out these market opening times, 10, 11, 4, and 5:30. They could also be very good times for you to actually be able to manage your trades rather than just letting them go. So can clearly see if you didn't manage to grab your trading opportunity during the London session and just closed it at 5:30, can see the price was backed in and seller's area, you could have definitely ended up making some money there. But it seems that the big boys during the US session were more interested in giving more of a pullback. The price managed to come back down all the way to the main extreme buyers area. Remember the fact that we're purely technical. As long as we're holding above this red support and resistance area, we will be looking for buying opportunities. If only the price is able to break and hold below that SNR, that's the only time we'll actually switch our bias and start looking for selling opportunities. But you can clearly see we ended up getting a very nice probe during the Asian session. The price has come back up, testing this support and resistance area. So in this situation and the way the buyers have come in, I'm very happy to see the way the sellers are coming in struggling. So let's wait to see if the sellers can come in a bit slower and potentially the buyers could come in. But alternatively, if you do miss that trading opportunity down here and the price is able to go to the upside and break and hold above this area, you can be able to wait for the price to hold above this location. The price is able to do that, and confirm, and it is lined up within the market opening time, then you should be able to find a very nice buying opportunity available for you on silver. But remember, if we do get the price breaching and holding below, so rather than holding to the upside, if it breaks and holds below this area, at that point in time, our bias will switch and we will start looking for selling opportunities. So I hope that is clear as we move on to the next and last pair that we do have, which is gold. So on gold on Friday, just zoom out a bit. On gold on Friday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. Remember, I had pointed out the market seemed to be ranging between these levels. And you can clearly see what ended up happening. The price ended up coming down, giving us a very nice probe where it looked as if it was breaking to the downside, but it came up. Rather than looking for your buys, even if the price probes all the way at the top, always wait for the pullback to come in back within that support and resistance area. You can see that did end up happening a bit later. So it was at 5:30, we got the price giving us a pullback. So this is around 6:15, just a few minutes after, or at least 45 minutes after the New York Stock Exchange opened. The price came back within this particular buyer's area. And you can see there was a buying opportunity available for us, making sure you manage your trade within the seller's area. You can see a similar situation today during the Asian session. It has done something as well, at least something similar. So we are still respecting the exact same areas that we did end up having on Friday. So we'll still be respecting them today. We'll still be looking for buying opportunities. Remember, as long as we're holding above the red SNR area. So the fact that we're within an area where there's sellers, not a good place to look for your buying opportunities just yet. So we need one of two things. If this price is ranging, or at least this market is ranging, let's wait to see if we can end up getting this price coming back within this particular buyer's area for us to look for buying opportunities. Or remember, if the price is able to break this area to the upside, and we see the price actually giving us a proper pullback and it actually falls above, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities. Now, you have seen, we've identified a level right here. There's a blue support and resistance area. I think it's when you end up going to a higher time frame, you should be able to see the reason why we're respecting this yellow support and resistance area. You can see it's this same high that the market has struggled. You can see the last time was there, what kind of reaction was coming. And all this time, this price has just actually probed this particular area. You can see it tried to break this area to the upside, but came back in and held below. Similar situation, it tried to go to the upside, came back in and was holding below. Now, similar situation, that could be what's happening today. And that's the reason why this one, or at least where we are at, very interesting location. So if we are able to get the price reaching and holding above this particular area, we can be able to look for buys, but do watch out for this blue SNR, because the fact is the price has bounced off this particular level before as well. Seems that, remember, support and resistance is not aligned for a particular price. It is an area. So within this area, you definitely know there are many sellers. So just watch out for that. If you do want to be safe, you could potentially wait for the blue SNR to be breached to the upside. And if the price falls above, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities on gold. So I hope that is clear with all the kinds of pairs. As you can see, we've mixed and matched all the pairs on the sell side with the pairs on the buy side, including the indices. So let me see if there are any questions. So I'm seeing Lucy Njoroge saying, hello guys, how much do you charge to train somebody? We have a number of courses that we end up having available. We have a masterclass course. It's an online course. We do offer one-on-one mentorship as well. And we have the AMP course. So the AMP would be what I would advise. It does end up going for 50,000 shillings, or $500 or so, depending on where you are. But you can be able to reach out to us. That contact detail, you can end up sending us a WhatsApp or a call, and we will end up reaching out to you, Lucy, to give you a lot more details. But if you do, you can be able to also check out our website, Afriforex.com. You should be able to see our courses there as well. So hope that's clear. But if you want one-on-one, we do end up charging around 100,000 shillings for that. But yeah, it does end up taking around a month or so for us to do that. So if you are interested or you'd like even to talk to one of our former students, feel free to do that. We can end up helping you get into contact with one of them. So I'm not seeing any more questions, which is okay. Do remember, guys, to be in the Telegram channel, because we do have some fundamentals for the Swiss franc. So wait to see whether or not the Swiss franc still remains on the buy side or whether or not it does move to the sell side. There's a possibility that this, or at least this Swiss franc news, could end up bringing in a lot of more strength to the Swiss franc. So we'll wait to see what ends up happening there. So I'm seeing also Metrin. You're saying good morning, Afriforex team. God blessings in the new week. May the Lord refresh you. Thank you so much, Metrin, and amen to that. Glad to see you here. I know Metrin is also one of our former students, or at least one of our students. He has done the AMP course, and I know she's doing really, really well. I mean, you are seeing her screenshots here nearly every day. So wait to see more and more from you, Metrin, but happy to see you here as well. So I guess that's it from me and from us. Really want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. Apologies for the technical difficulties about the power, but at least are able to finish this session. So remember, guys, if you do manage to take any setups based on things we share, feel free to send them in to us. Our contact details are in the video description below. Once again, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Hope you have an amazing trading day. God bless. Happy trading. And bye for now. Cheers, guys.